Hi, everybody. Welcome again to our weekly webinars that we've been doing with some of our preferred suppliers. Today, we are doing one with Princess Cruises, and we're going to be talking about Alaska. Um, we do want you to know that if you have any questions during the webinar and you're attending live, please type them in the chat field and we will try to get answers for you. In the meantime, I'm Sherrie Funk. My husband Charlie and I own Just Cruisin Plus. We are a travel agency based in Brentwood, Tennessee. And we really welcome you being here today and glad to have you. And now I'm going to turn this over to Charlie.
Good afternoon, and thank you for being here. Our speaker today is Monika Pasquerello. She's a business development manager with Princess Cruises and has been with them 22 years. I will share with you that Princess, we have preferred suppliers. We have platinum preferred suppliers. Princess is a platinum preferred supplier because of the extremely good experience that we've had with them over the 35 years or more that we have been in business. The presentation today touches on one of my most favorite destinations of all, especially the inland portion that involves Talkeetna and other wildlife and landscape areas. It's Alaska, and it would seem simple to take a cruise that only goes to one state. But Alaska and all of the different things that we can do in Alaska is perhaps the single most complicated itinerary that we offer. Without further ado, Monika, take it away.
Thank you, Charlie. Thank you, Sherrie. I'm delighted to be with you all today. Alaska, as Charlie said, is a wonderful place. It's certainly my favorite as well. So welcome aboard to all of you. We are excited to talk about what the options and the possibilities are for you to travel to Alaska in 2021. It is truly a magical destination, a very special place, and as you can imagine, because no one was able to travel to Alaska this past year, this past summer typically is our season between May and September, there is incredible pent-up demand. We're hearing about it. We're seeing tremendous advanced bookings. People are already making those reservations for the summer of 2021. So you might be wondering, for those of you that haven't traveled with Princess before, we have a long and wonderful history of almost 55 years of taking people to destinations all around the world. We have a number of beautiful ships, and as a matter of fact, what you may not have heard in news lately is the ships that are under construction, like Discovery Princess, a brand new beautiful ship, but also one that completed construction just recently, which now Princess has taken control over from the shipyard in Italy, and that's our beautiful Enchanted Princess. So not only is our fleet growing with beautiful ships, but as you can imagine, for all the places that we travel to around the world, it gives you an opportunity to see so many different countries, different destinations by taking a cruise. Princess has been known as the destination leader over these 50 years. It all actually started for us on the west coast of the United States, going down to the Mexican Riviera, places like Cabo San Lucas and Mazatlan and Puerto Vallarta. But from there, as our fleet expanded and more people saw the enormous value and excitement and romance of cruising, that's how Princess really grew. And so now we travel to, yes, literally all 7 continents in some form or fashion. So it's not just Alaska, but it's the destination leader, what you can call Princess. So think of a place you'd like to visit somewhere around the world. Princess surely has a ship that will take you there or very close to it. Now, a big part of what's happening currently as cruises are paused by mandate from the CDC, all the different cruise lines are in discussion and development with the CDC about cruising with confidence, for all of you to feel comfortable, to feel safe, to be welcomed back to cruising. And we are in the process of organizing all of the different health and safety standards and the different protocols. here, this is just a small list of things that we're doing. We are every week adding and enhancing those protocols. So we are continuously preparing to return to cruise. And I have to tell you, after 22 years with the company, you know, Princess has always been exceeding the guidelines for cruise ships from the CDC and what they require. It's our most important really mantra. So in other words, the health and safety of our guests, our crew, and of course the people that are impacted by all of the places that we travel to around the world. So as our president, Jan Swartz, likes to say, we share our hearts, share our world, protect our earth, and help people come back with lasting memories. So that's really what Princess is all about. So let's talk about Alaska. Maybe some of you have been to Alaska before. It's interesting because while some people say Alaska is one of those once in a lifetime, or maybe one of those go once and then see other places type of destinations, we find more oftentimes than not, even people that have never cruised before choose Alaska with Princess as their first cruise. So we're really proud of that travel advisors recommend Alaska and Princess cruises for first-time cruisers. But a big part of it too is for visiting Alaska, as you can imagine, the glaciers, the wildlife, the towering mountains. Incredible that this is one of our own 50 United States, and it's almost like a world away. But there is so much to see. Charlie mentioned it earlier. There is so much to see when you look at a map of the state of Alaska. And this portion here along the Gulf of Alaska shows you the area where we cruise. And some of those cruises can begin in Seattle, others begin in Vancouver, British Columbia, Canada. But you can see what we call the Inside Passage and all of the different destinations that you'll visit. So Ketchikan, Juneau, and Skagway. You learn about the history of the gold rush of 1898, and also all of the wonderful people, all of the tribes of Alaska, the totem poles that are carved and the stories that they tell. It's wildlife, it's ecology, it's history, it's scenic beauty, and there's something really, really special about it. I'm getting goosebumps right now just thinking about it. It's been a few years since my last trip to Alaska. So I think 2021 is going to be my year to go back again. But what we're also very proud of at Princess is the fact that we are the #1 cruise line traveling to Alaska. You know, there are many, many different ships, many cruise lines that take people to the state of Alaska. But the reality is that more guests choose Princess for Alaska than any other cruise line. And that, in fact, is due to the #1 recommendation by travel advisors, including all of the folks with Just Cruisin' Plus. They really are your Alaska experts, and they can provide the information and guide you to the perfect combination in Alaska of cruise and land. So we've won this award many, many times by the readers of Travel Weekly, and hopefully you'll see us again there as the #1 spot after the voting. Actually, November 13th, I believe, will be the last day for voting, so we'll see how the polls come out on that for us. What I love about our itineraries for Alaska is the fact that Princess offers you a number of unique opportunities. For instance, when you look at this photograph here, this image, this is one of our beautiful Princess ships in the port of Whittier, which is outside of Anchorage, but it's a very special cruise port for us. As you can see where the ship docks, it's right next to the rail program. So you literally can walk from the ship across a short path onto the rail cars, either before or after you've taken this wonderful 7-day Voyage of the Glaciers cruise. But by taking the rail extension, continuing on to places that Charlie mentioned, like Talkeetna, and all the way to Denali National Park, one of the most beautiful in our country, it gives you a really nice combination of sea and rail programs. Our rail programs take you to some of the most beautiful wilderness lodges throughout the state. Princess owns and operates 5 lodges. The other one that's not listed here is our Fairbanks Princess Lodge, sort of right there in the northern center of the state. But each of these beautiful lodges, and the 2 on the top there, are actually within the Denali National and State Park. So we have beautiful accommodations for you to stay and take wonderful tours from there when you stay at the Denali Princess Wilderness Lodge. We have wonderful programs that will take you over to the entrance to the National Park of Denali, where you'll go in with the park rangers and have a wonderful guided tour. Now, this is a 6 million acre park, but we do have a wonderful tundra tour, which is about 8 hours, which makes periodic stops along the way for restroom breaks and photographs and things like that. So it's a great way to be in touch with nature and to see a beautiful national park in our country. When you stay at the McKinley Princess Wilderness Lodge, now you're on the south end of the park where you have beautiful views of the mountain range, and it is spectacular. I remember my very first time to Alaska, and I had grown up in upstate New York and seen beautiful mountains. I had even skied in the Alps, and I thought, you know, people talk about this really majestic mountain range. And so, as was true to form when traveling in Alaska, we noticed that the mountain range was sort of shrouded in the clouds because at the very high altitudes, this is what happens. And you may have heard the phrase before, people that have traveled to Alaska, did you see the summit of the mountain, formerly known as Mount McKinley, now known as Denali? And at over 20,000 feet, it's our highest peak in North America. So very oftentimes it is shrouded in the clouds. And at those occasional moments when the clouds part, that mountain peak is so great and so dramatic. And I remember the opportunity, it was just for a few moments in the several days that we spent at the park that one year that I did get to see the summit. And it was incredible, and it was something so special. And although I was with all of my work colleagues, because Princess really believes that we need to experience and visit the places that we speak about, I said, the next time I come back, I'll bring the whole family because this is something really memorable and special. And so the other lodges, as you see there in the lower left, the Kenai Princess Wilderness Lodge, down on the Kenai Peninsula, very far south of Anchorage, beautiful wilderness lodge there on the Kenai River. So wonderful fishing there, mostly salmon, some halibut, and each accommodation is almost like its own individual cabin with your own wood-burning fireplace. And then another magical place is the Copper River Wilderness Lodge. So this is a bit further to the east in an even larger national park called Wrangell St. Elias. So much larger, but a bit less known. So for those of you that are in the National Park Collectors, you can check a lot of boxes off on an Alaska cruise tour of the national parks that you'll visit. This is a picture of myself and my colleagues that one summer that we visited Alaska. And so I decided on something a little bit more sedate, I guess. So this was a float trip outside of Talkeetna when we were staying at the McKinley Princess Wilderness Lodge. But it was wonderful because they gave us the waders, so we got into the water, into this inflatable boat where there was a guy that was rowing while we were all able to sit there. And they even encouraged us to bring your binoculars, we used cameras back in those days. So the first trip was a long time ago before cell phones. But it was wonderful to be able to take pictures of wildlife and the bald eagles in the air. And it was just spectacular. So it was very peaceful and quiet. And it was just a neat way to experience Alaska from the river. And so when we talk about the cruise tours, this combination of lodge and train and cruise, it really is the best way to see it all. Now, it will always be the 7-day voyage of the Glaciers cruise through the Inside Passage. And that would be combined with 3 or more nights on land that you can choose to take either before or after the cruise. So really your choice. And there are many different schools of thought. People say, should I go northbound or southbound? It depends on the direction, whether the stay at the lodges will be before the cruise or after. But you know what? There are so many highlights, so many features. Personally, I think northbound, when you travel out of Vancouver through the Inside Passage, 7 days on the cruise, ending in Whittier, then going from the ship, walking across, boarding the train, heading up to the heart of Alaska at Denali National Park, more and more and more of Alaska is unfolding before you. And then really the crescendo, the highlight, is to see that majestic mountaintop, the peak of Denali. So either way, either direction, you can't go wrong. This, this map here gives you a little bit more of an idea, again, about traveling through the Inside Passage. Friends maybe that have traveled this area before might highly recommend the Inside Passage. Absolutely. That's the gateway to travel along those coastal glacial waters. But the point is, when you travel between Vancouver and then Whittier, you have access to all these wonderful ports, typically much longer days in port, so in Ketchikan, in Juneau, in Skagway, but also the opportunity to see yet another national park, which is a beautiful 700-mile coastline called Glacier Bay. And now it doesn't matter if your stateroom or your balcony suite is on the starboard or right side of the ship, or the port or left side of the ship, because when we're in Glacier Bay, our captains are maneuvering the ship very, very slowly rotating, so that if you are enjoying the scenery right from your own private balcony, you can appreciate everything that's going on around you. If you wish, you can join the National Park Rangers that board our ships in Glacier Bay by smaller pilot boats. And then they're giving small group commentary about the whales that you see, the breaching whales, the precious sea otters, the bald eagles, whatever you may see there in Glacier Bay. So it's wonderful, it's informative, it's interesting. If you happen to prefer to enjoy a cup of hot cocoa or a beverage or some soup from your own private balcony in your stateroom, you can simply turn up the volume on the television in your accommodations and hear the commentary that's going on. So it's all a matter of how you prefer. But the point is, we're also showing you two different glaciers over the course of the 7-day cruise. One being the famous Glacier Bay National Park, and then the other being either Hubbard Glacier, if you're traveling on the southbound direction, or College Fjord on the northbound voyages. So we're showing you majestic ports, beautiful glaciers, incredible scenery, and that's just part of it. That's just the cruise portion. By the way, for some of you that may not have the time to invest in this really incredible journey, we also do offer 7-day round-trip Seattle cruises, departing on a Saturday or a Sunday, if that works for your schedule. Although, if you can, we highly recommend even just 3 extra days that you will be able to see the heart of Alaska up at Denali, take a tour into Denali National Park, give us a chance for you to be able to ride the Princess Rail service and enjoy the wildflower fields as you're traveling throughout the heart of Alaska. So think about that, because it truly is not only an investment in time and of course in finance, but really in memories. And that's so much a part of what people do take away when they visit Alaska. And so if you look at the lower portion of the screen here, we talk about seeing Alaska, the Inside Passage round trip from Seattle. See more of Alaska, the 7-day one-way cruise between Vancouver and Whittier, either northbound or southbound. But to truly see the most, the best, the heart of Alaska is to enjoy the cruise combined with the land vacation stay. Now, the land portion can be as few as 3 nights, although one of our most popular cruise tours, believe it or not, takes you to all 5 of our different lodges. So you're literally staying on land for 10 days, 2 nights in each of the different lodges. Why is that terrific? It's a little bit of a slower pace rather than being at a different lodge each day, but the fact that you get to visit different parts of the state of Alaska, from the Kenai Peninsula all the way up to Fairbanks. So you really can see the most and the heart of Alaska by doing so. North to Alaska, in case you're wondering, what do we offer on the ship itself, as we have some days at sea and some coastal cruising? Well, this is called North to Alaska. So we developed this several years ago at Princess. And one thing you'll find for folks that haven't traveled with us before, first of all, we look forward to welcoming you on board. But the fact that Princess takes every opportunity for not only entertainment, but education and enrichment on board. So there's always something new to learn. And so that's why we call our onboard entertainment, education, and enrichment program in Alaska North to Alaska, because only Princess offers this exclusive and unique program, so that whatever you've seen and experienced perhaps on the day ashore we also continue that momentum and that learning while you're back on board. Now, people do enjoy the very fresh Alaska seafood, not only ashore at some of the most award-winning restaurants in some of the different ports, but sometimes you want to do some other touring. Well, rather than have to miss out on some of those award-winning entrees and favorites, those restaurants have taught our culinary staffs and kitchen folks some of the award-winning recipes from those different restaurants so that you can enjoy those things right on board our ship when you come back to the ship for dinner that evening. So lots of fresh Alaska seafood. I did have someone in a chat box on one of these virtual videos recently ask me, gosh, I like seafood, but I also enjoy beef and chicken and poultry and, pork and all different kinds of things. And I failed to mention that, of course, we have all those other options for you. It's just that we like to feature the fresh Alaska seafood on the Alaska cruises, but we have lots of choices for you throughout the day and well into the evening. And then we also like to say in Alaska that you will have the opportunity to meet real Alaskans. For instance, Puppies in the Piazza is a real treasure, and it's so great to see kids of all ages interacting with a new litter of dog mushing puppies that they bring to the ship. And it's almost our version of Who Let the Dogs Out. So they're running all over, and every so often you see someone want to take one of these precious pups and maybe just hide them in their parka and say, oh, maybe no one will know if this one is missing. But it just continues to tell the story about how important it is. Traveling by sled dog in Alaska in the winter is a vital part of transportation. Now, those are the times of year that the tourists have gone home, and actually most of our lodges close throughout the state after the middle of September. Fairbanks Princess does stay open all year long, but the reality is the people stop coming because the days become shorter. Okay, now we're in the land of the midnight sun in the winter time, which is great for the Iditarod, the 1,000-mile dog sled race that takes place in March every year from Anchorage to Nome. But really the season for travel and tourism to Alaska is enjoyed so much more in the virtual 22, 23 hours of daylight that we have in those summer months when we operate the ships and the lodges and the rail program and all the activities, again, between May, usually early May, and about the third week in September. So some more real Alaskans that you'll meet. You'll learn about the lumberjacks and how vital they are to the success of forestry in Alaska. Steve Height is the man playing the guitar in the lower portion of the photo there. He's a wonderful storyteller. He sings songs, talks about Alaska and the culture and the people and the hikers and the climbers and the lumberjacks and all kinds of wonderful things. And so he tells stories through music. And then, of course, on the right there, the lower image, that's Libby Riddles, first female Iditarod winner, and she's a good friend to Princess. And oftentimes she'll bring some of her dogs to the ship and talk about the life of the professional dog musher. So you're really meeting and interacting with people. Now, here you see the park rangers talking to some of our guests in Glacier Bay and providing their commentary and insight. We also do have the Klondike Party in the Land of the Midnight Sun Festival. So in the evening, the ship comes to life with all kinds of music and fun and enjoyment. And a lot of the focus is about Alaska. Just within the last couple of years, the upper photo there, you might know from Discovery Network, the Treehouse Masters, where they build these adult grown-up style tree houses. Well, they built one that is amazing just for us at Princess at the McKinley Princess Wilderness Lodge. Not only is our lodge what appears to be almost in the treetops, it's very secluded there, about 40 minutes outside of Talkeetna, the main rail depot. But this is a grown-up style treehouse where in the afternoons we have sappy hour, where we're creating some mocktails from the sap that comes from the trees. But it's just a lot of fun, and it's just one of the many activities that we offer throughout the lodges. We're also really proud to have partnered with Discovery and also Animal Planet over the years, because while we take you to Ketchikan and Juneau and Skagway, and on certain departures, Icy Strait Point and things like that, that you want to go ashore and experience unique trips, unique opportunities. There's another float trip going out, but also glacier climbing and hiking, and the opportunity to see the bears in their natural habitat, fishing for the very same salmon that maybe you're interested in when you take one of our fishing tours. But even heading to the dog mushing camps and perhaps even landing via helicopter there and getting to see what it's like with hundreds of dogs and their handlers up there, just coming down from the wilderness, sometimes once a week for provisions. But I did mention fishing, and by the way, we do also have a program called Cook My Catch. So for anyone that enjoys things like that, I'm going to just go back to this slide for one moment. We have a number of opportunities for you if you enjoy fishing, that whether you're at certain destinations from the ship on a shore excursion or at any of our lodges, you sign up for one of our fishing programs, we'll take care of not only the guide, the equipment, the license, but whatever fish you catch, we'll be able to arrange that so that you can take that fish home with you, or it will be shipped home for you. Or if you would like to enjoy that fish for dinner that night, bring it back to the lodge. We'll bring it back to the lodge or back to the ship. You'll be met by the culinary staff. How would you like that prepared? What sides would you like with that? And then you'll be enjoying your fresh caught fish right there for dinner. You'll be the envy of the dining room. A lot of times people ask, well, what do the cabins look like? What does the inside of a princess ship look like? The accommodations are beautiful. They're bright and airy and modern. I'm going to tell you in just a few minutes about a very special cruise tour that is available to you through just Cruisin Plus on the Royal Princess. So Royal Princess being one of our very newest ships in the Princess fleet. Very modern, very state-of-the-art technology, beautiful accommodations. Of course, most people do enjoy having a balcony to sit outside and enjoy the fresh air and the scenery. We do also have some beautiful deluxe balconies and mini suite staterooms that are even larger, as you can see there, with sitting room space. But in addition to that, as part of your shipboard experience, and Princess just started this several months ago, earlier this year, it's called Princess Plus. So in other words, we were the first of the more contemporary and premium cruise lines to offer you the beverage package, gratuities, and Wi-Fi as part of your cruise pricing. So it's an incredible value that normally would cost $95 per person per day. We have it now built into the cruise fare. And so therefore, not only can you enjoy premium wines by the glass and beer and spirits and sodas and juices, premium brewed lattes, specialty coffees, wonderful assortment of teas, even energy drinks and milkshakes and mocktails and bottled water. It's all available to you. And by the way, unlike other cruise lines, Princess includes the gratuity on the drinks. So you're not stuck with some sort of an additional bill at the end of the voyage. But we also do prepay the gratuities to our staff, who, any of you that have traveled with Princess before know that these are career professionals, very hardworking. Their greatest joy is to see the smile on the faces of the guests for a job well done. But then also, now with MedallionNet, which is the fastest, most reliable Wi-Fi at sea, we also offer you one device per person that you can use unlimited. So great way to stay in touch with friends and family at home, even to be posting on social media. There's not a certain package price for a certain amount of bandwidth. It's all unlimited, and it's, as I say, it's called MedallionNet. And so that's part of some of the upgrades that we've been doing on our existing fleet. Maybe with all the money you've saved, maybe you'll even decide to choose a beautiful suite on our ships. We have suites that are midship on the Royal Princess, and then some that are all the way aft, so corner suites with the balcony that wraps all the way around the corner, and 180-degree views. So there's really so much to look forward to, not only from the experience of the destinations, but also the shipboard experience. Talking a little bit more about MedallionNet, the reason why we upgraded our Wi-Fi to be so lightning fast and also to be so consistent and reliable is because Princess, several years ago, actually in 2017, We won the Innovation Award at the CES, Consumer Electronics Show in Las Vegas, for creating the Princess Medallion. The medallion is a small coin-like device that now on Princess, and it looks about like that, although it's the size of a quarter. I have one right here. Let's see, I'm going to hold it up to the, see, it almost looks like the size of a quarter, and when we send it to you in this little packet along with this conference lanyard, that has replaced the key card. So as you can see, it is keyless entry to your stateroom. We have all kinds of games on there, including casino gambling and gaming for wagering for money. A great way to find your traveling companions. So sort of like a shipmates, where it will show where everyone is on the ship, from your children to your in-laws and husband, and so you can find everyone. You know, back in the day, early cruising, a lot of us used a walkie-talkie to try and find each other. And then that became a little challenging because those signals didn't convey through a lot of that steel and all. So this is a great way to use the Medallion class app in conjunction with the medallion that is sent to you in advance of the cruise, engraved with your name, the ship and sailing date on it, so that you can have touchless purchases, say in the shops, or what I love is food and beverage on demand, sort of like the Uber Eats of the high seas, and it's only on Princess Cruises. So what we find is that people will really enjoy this, especially now, and it's just so incredibly ironic that we developed this just several years ago, and now as we return to cruising with all of the safety protocols, it will facilitate physical distancing and allowing people to enjoy every aspect of the cruise, whether from their stateroom or their deck lounger, purchases, casino gaming, all on their own smart device. Find your friends and traveling companions, all within what we call shoreside to poolside, blazing fast. So in other words, once you download the Medallion class app to your own smartphone, to your device, once you arrive at the pier, you'll go through security. And then because now you already have your key card and you've already downloaded the information to the app, you can go immediately to your stateroom. As you approach that cabin door, you'll hear it unlock. You can just simply press down with the elbow. If you have a couple of bags that you're carrying with you, some carry-ons, go right into your stateroom, put your things down, and you can begin enjoying your cruise. Because at Princess, when people board the ship, we're ready for you to occupy your accommodations. You can go right to your stateroom and start enjoying. This is what I'm really excited to share with you. So kind of circling back around now to Alaska is this really wonderful, excellent value Alaska cruise tour. So it's a land and sea vacation that is available to you through Just Cruisin' Plus. Now we have a number of dates that we're offering on our beautiful new Royal Princess. And because it's 7-day, you're going to actually fly to the destination first. You're going to have your first night in Anchorage, and that hotel in Anchorage, we use a partner hotel there called the Captain Cook. It has many towers, and it's a wonderful full-service hotel. So you're going to stay there first in Anchorage the first night. After that, we're going to go ahead and take you up to the McKinley Princess Wilderness Lodge for a night, and that's where you can go visit the treehouse and have sappy hour there, or go to Talkeetna. That's the little town. If you remember the show from years ago, Northern Exposure, that was the town of Talkeetna, that interesting cast of characters there. So it's a very charming little place. And from there, we'll take you a bit further north again, so up to the Denali Princess Wilderness Lodge. Now you'll stay there for 2 nights. And during that time, this tour actually includes, it's upgraded to that 8-hour tundra wilderness tour. So you're going to have a very comprehensive tour of Denali National Park included in this package. While you're there, you're going to have Fannie Q's saloon. You know, Fannie Q was quite a pioneer woman. She could bake pies, and she was a wonderful homemaker. She was something that symbolized hospitality in Alaska. to all of those that were exploring this great land during the history of the gold rush. But they say she was pretty good with her hunting skills, hunting and fishing skills too. So she really was a Renaissance woman. So we have a really cool little restaurant, brand new, at the Denali Princess Lodge called Fanny Q's. We're going to host you for dinner there one night. And then you're going to have a couple of breakfasts along the way at your lodges as well. So whereas normally the meals at the lodges are not included, it's usually a pay-as-you-go. We've also incorporated those. And by the way, the tax and gratuity to the server is also included, as well as non-alcoholic beverage. So typically for dinner, it's a 3-course meal. Breakfast is a wonderful, huge, full American breakfast. So it's just an amazing value. But something else that we also do include, again, just for this cruise tour, is a visit to the Husky Homestead. And I know Sherrie's clapping because we were talking. They have been to the Husky Homestead sled dog tour, and it's just a short way from the Denali Princess Lodge. So one of the days while you're at the Denali Princess Lodge, you're going to go about a mile to the entrance of the national park. And then the other day, you're going to visit the home of Jeff King. He is an Iditarod champion, and you're going to visit the kennels there. You're going to learn about the rural lifestyle and based on his 36 plus years in the Alaska wilderness. So, you know, storytelling in Alaska has always been a thing. And when we talk about the Native Alaskan culture and the totem poles, those have been telling stories forever. Storytelling is something that's going to enhance and enrich your Alaska experience. And so that's why we want to put you in touch with local people who can share all of their knowledge and the love that they have for their state of Alaska. So that's quite an exciting added tour that is also included as part of this very special cruise tour. I did go ahead and grab some current pricing. So, and we can certainly share this with you. I don't have a slide on it, but I want to give you an idea. I pulled a price for July 20th of next year. So let's see, to give you a, for instance, if you wanted to treat yourself to, say, a balcony accommodation, you're looking at about $4,100 per person. That's for everything you just saw on the screen there. Now to that, we just would have to add what's called the taxes, $267.43. Now, for that same accommodation, that very same tour, to give you an idea, if you go a month later, you could save about $300 per person by traveling on the 17th of August. So here's what I want to say about that. The reason why Princess today is partnering with Just Cruisin' Plus is because they are your Alaska experts. They have been working with Princess, you know, for the 35 or 36 years that they've been in business. So these folks probably know Princess better than I do. But that's why they really, we have this really wonderful cruise tour and this special program to offer you. So I just wanted to mention that because I think it's an exceptional value. And by the way, in case you're wondering about airfare, do not be concerned that just because you're flying, say, into Anchorage and then you're going to depart from Vancouver, you're not flying round trip to the same place, that's going to make your airfare quite high. In fact, the way Princess and our entire organization has partnered with the airlines to offer very, very low one-way contract fares, you could potentially be looking at something as low as $600 per person.
Monika,
Depending
I do
on
want to mention that the pricing that you're offering there is subject to change. We have, as you mentioned, an exceptionally high demand for Alaska for 2021. We have no way of knowing what the pricing will be at the time somebody calls about this. It may be higher. So the thing that I would urge is, this is recorded and you may be watching this on YouTube, but I urge you to call Just Cruisin' Plus as soon as you can to make sure we get the best price that we can for you.
Charlie, that's such a good point. As I mentioned in the very beginning, you know, there were so many people. We were already quite full with our Alaska reservations for this past summer, because if you can imagine, we had opened our books 18 months in advance. So Alaska, we could see it was trending tremendously well for 2020. When everything shut down, all those people rebooked for 2021, and now people that thought, oh yeah, I want to go in 2021. So you can imagine every day we are getting hundreds, if not thousands of new reservations. But look, there is no risk to making your reservation now as soon as possible. The folks at Just Cruisin Plus can arrange for, and we do have certain prices, the prices that I mentioned as a for instance here, offer a refundable deposit. So it's best to go ahead and reserve. Should something change with the price that it goes down, again, your travel advisor will take care of that and make those adjustments accordingly. However, should the price go up and you're already under deposit, you are able to stay at that lower fare. And just in case you're wondering, typically what is the deposit? For a trip like this, it's just $200 per person. So it's a minimal upfront investment to ensure that you are getting the specific tour and all the details just as you expected. You know, think about this. There were a lot of celebrations that were canceled this year. And as we look to 2021, we know we're going to have a lot to be thankful for and a lot to celebrate. We see at Princess, 1 out of every 3 guests that travels with us is celebrating, whether it's a birthday or an anniversary, or a wonderful health prognosis, something to celebrate. And travel and creating memories with your friends, your entire family is the way to do that. So I just encourage you, we'd love to see you on Princess. There are so many ways to travel, but please work with Just Cruisin Plus. They will find you the exceptional value and guide you based on your taste, your interests, your preferences, and take good care of every step along the way. So on behalf of all of us at Princess Cruises, I want to say thank you to Sherrie and Charlie and all of the support from the really wonderful travel advisors at Just Cruisin Plus. We hope everybody goes to Alaska in 2021.
Monika, we just want to thank you for being here today. And when you said that about going to see the dogs at Denali, Charlie and I were fortunate when we got there. Jeff had 2 litters of puppies that were about 2 weeks apart in age, and they were both maybe 6 to 8 weeks old.
Right.
We got to hold them, and
yeah.
Oh, it was so wonderful. And then to see how he trains them, and he went through everything on the itineraries and what it was like, and it was just amazing, absolutely amazing. And you know, even if you're doing just like a 7-night cruise out of Seattle, to be able to go to Juneau and Ketchikan and Skagway and to see the state of Alaska's capital in Juneau, which is the only state capital that you cannot get there by driving. You have to either fly in or come by ship to get there, which I think is really amazing.
We were there when we were there, maybe the first time in Juneau. We were walking along a sidewalk with our guide, and I noticed that a number of the automobiles parked on the sides on the street had the windows down and the keys were in the ignition. And I said to the guy, aren't people concerned about their cars being stolen? Where are they going to take it?
We've had some really neat experiences, and we've been to Alaska 3 or 4 times, 4 times I think.
Yeah.
One time we got to, I'm trying to think, it was in Skagway. We got to Skagway, and we happened to be docked on the side where our balcony looked up into the trees and all that beautiful area there. And there were all these little white dots everywhere, and they looked like huge magnolia blossoms like we have in the South. And so when we got off the ship that day, Charlie asked our guide what kind of trees those were that had those flowering trees up there. She said, "Oh, those are not flowers. Those are bald eagles. By the hundreds of bald eagles."
Oh, you know, I went up there with the expectation. In fact, something that led up to this is that there was a cannery that's not in business now, that we visited, and as we were standing there, out of the corner of my eye, I detected a motion, and I looked over, and an eagle with a wingspan of 7 feet, if it was an inch, swooped down and landed on one of the jetties. And in my best Jacques Cousteau manner, I sneaked over to the edge of the dock and took a photograph of this bald eagle with a 500 millimeter lens. And so in an 8 by 10 photograph, the iris of the eagle's eye is easily an eighth or a quarter of an inch in diameter. That's how close it came in. I was so proud of myself, and came back. And that's when she told me about all the things that look like tulip poplar blossoms in a tree were bald eagles. But it was still exciting for me.
We've just had so many wonderful experiences. We did a kayak trip in Skagway one time, where you go. We actually kayak. You know how the houses, so much is built on the stilts there, and I can't think of the name of if it's Front Street, whatever it is. But
the red light district.
We were kayaking literally under the stanchions where all of this stuff is built up. And this happened to be when the salmon were running. And they were so thick that there literally were salmon that jumped over the top of the front of the kayaks. It was amazing. So to say that you can see and do so much in Alaska is just unbelievable. And like you said, if you have the time, going inland is it's just a trip of a lifetime.
And we were fortunate. We saw Denali, the mountain, while we were there.
We did. We got to see the summit, which is kind of unheard of, as you know. It's really a rare occasion that you are there just as it opens up and you can see it. But we won't keep you, Monika. We just thank you so much for doing this today. And if anybody is interested in getting more information about Alaska and about Princess, you can call our office at 615-833-0922. That's 615-833-0922. And one of our travel advisors will be more than happy to help you. They all are Commodore level with Princess in their training, so they've gone through the entire thing. And everybody is extremely well versed on Princess and especially on Alaska. So again,
or you can visit our website. It's jcp.travel, not .com. We tried to get jcp.com, but the people at JCPenney were fuss budgets, wouldn't let us have it. So we have our website is www.jcp.travel, and it has all of our contact information in there. And we look forward to hearing from you.
So thank you again, and we look forward to seeing everybody on another one of these webinars. Thanks, Monika.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.